Hello, I am Carrie Klataski, and today I'm reading from Becoming and Belonging, Supporting the Healthy Social Emotional Development of the Young Child, a collection by the Wecan Early Childhood Research Group, edited by Holly Cotin Soleil. Today we're reading Chapter 6, The Healing Power of Social Games, by Ruth Kerr. One day, out on the playground, Jeffrey was looking up at the clouds while I swept the walkway beside him. "Look," he said, pointing his finger up at the sky. "Do you see that? My grandma's dancing with the angels again." A few days later, Jeffrey was playing inside with some friends. They had been playing rescue over and over again during their preceding days. This involved one child laying down with their eyes closed, and others coming to minister to them by calling out, wrapping them in silks, pretending to give them food and water, and so on. The patient either did not survive or was miraculously healed. It seemed to depend on the child's whim as to whether the healing would work on a particular day. One day, Jeffrey took out one of the classroom planks and, very insistently asking his friends for their help, lay down on the plank with his eyes closed. The children were then instructed to carry him around the room. After this had happened several times and both teachers were enlisted to help, Jeffrey quickly got up, put the plank away, and went off to play somewhere else. As we have read in Chapter 5, the profound benefits of self-directed play and its ability to help the child digest life events have a strong impact on the health and well-being of the developing child. Jeffrey's mom and dad were working parents, and his grandmother, being his daily caregiver during the weekdays, was a loving and strong presence in his life. It was a shock to all of us when we heard that Jeffrey's grandma passed suddenly one spring afternoon. He was away from school for a few days while he and his family attended celebrations for his grandma. During this time, Jeffrey had seen his grandmother as she lay in the coffin, and he had also witnessed the processional carrying of her out of the funeral home. When Jeffrey came back to school, he joined into the play with his usual enthusiasm. He worked through his experiences with his grandmother's death in various ways, and in particular in the events described above. This is just one example of the healing power of self-directed play. Jeffrey, through play, was processing life in a way that was understandable to him. In this case, I did not need to orchestrate a way to help Jeffrey deal with his loss. My role was to provide a place where he could safely play out these scenarios. This is how he made his major event in his young life digestible for himself. In addition to self-directed play, there are also opportunities in the early childhood environment for the caregiver to endorse this vital activity of play by supporting it at times when we gather the class together. How can we bring the healing power of play into our circle times, outdoor activities, and transitions? Playing games as a group is a compelling way for children to bring their authentic selves to an activity that supports their social emotional well-being, whereas circle time can often be met with resistance from some children. Playing games is almost always embraced with enthusiasm and joy. Games can also be a healing balm for habits that some children have adopted in response to the trauma of our times. While many games have a healing influence on the young child because of their content, the actual act of playing games, the exchange of joyful interactions, is also healing in itself. Almost any game that an educator loves and brings with joy and goodwill will have pedagogically healing qualities for the individual child and the group. The gesture of the adult's presence. In an article published at Anthromedics, the gesture of the adult's presence in the child's life is emphasized. Social games are an opportunity to practice healing gestures in a form that naturally beckons the interest of the children. Something magical happens in an early childhood program when the educator, who has the interest of the children, dons the cloak of playful lightheartedness during group times. Playing games with the children provides closeness and safety, demonstrates socially appropriate ways of being, strengthens a sense of justice, and offers examples of self-regulation. And perhaps most importantly, these games help children build relationships with one another, as well as reconnect to their own vital forces and sense of well-being. Rudolf Steiner expresses one of the values of game playing in this way. It is very interesting to draw attention to the fact that what we possess as faculties for our intellect, for our experiencing life, for our social times, all this we owe to our early years of childhood, when the games are properly directed. Playing games in a safe environment can also help remedy stress-oriented behaviors like the fear of being in a group, shutting down and numbing out behaviors, the inability to share, and the fear of losing control. The structure of the game is consistent and predictable and allows the child to begin to trust the way of the game. The game provides a safe space for the child to practice and build self-confidence. Engaging in meaningful play through games can also contribute to the child's capacity to self-regulate, to practice opportunities to sometimes be in control and sometimes not, and to trust that interacting with others in playful ways can be safe and fulfilling. For children who are having difficulty playing with others, these games can be strong motivation to help them gain flexibility and spontaneity, relax their containment and or fear of interacting, and make new strides in their willingness to enter free play. Playing games can also be a way that the educator can strengthen the bond between themselves and the child. When a caregiver becomes enthused about playing a game, they are speaking the child's unspoken language. At the same time, the caregiver is reinforcing the connection that the developmental psychologist Gordon Newfield mentions in his work on attachment, letting the child know that you are there for them. This is explained in more detail in Chapter 9, The Healing Deed. The child can feel that playing with others in this scenario is safe and that there are dependable parameters. Their caregiver personifies the inner gesture. I am your person. I am here for you. For the child without having to express it in words. Summary and suggestions. In summary, we know that young children tend to explore and relate to the world through play. However, childhood trauma can cause children to numb out, shut down, and develop adaptive behavior that separates them from others. When children engage in group games that are carefully led by a trusted adult, exhibiting joyful, playful energy, a kindred resonance can begin to happen. An unspoken language begins to develop between the adult and the children in the group. This can be a valuable asset for the child who is building the courage and stamina to interplay with others. Skills can be built in this safe harbor of playing games. Introducing a wide range of traditional games, finger plays, and songs from around the world can help harmonize the social atmosphere of the class. WeCan also publishes a comprehensive list of books that have been published to aid the early childhood practitioner in developing their circles, games, and group imaginations with the young child. Below, I have listed some of my favorite healing games to play. The games referred to can be found in the book Please Can We Play Games? Joyful Interactions with Young Children. I have listed the page numbers of the games for your convenience, but the book is full of child-centered games submitted by early childhood practitioners from Canada and the United States. You may find others that appeal to you more. Here are a few of my suggestions. 1. In games about animals, modeling ways an animal can self-soothe can provide a way for the children to calm themselves down and therefore set a calmer tone for the group game. Perhaps the pony is nervous about getting new shoes. Let's stroke the pony gently. He likes to be touched softly on his legs and his belly. My pony likes to be rubbed right here. Where does your pony like to be pet? A little later, the children can stroke each other gently too. This can be a way to gently minister to touch-sensitive children who are afraid of the touch of others, or to encourage the children to self-regulate their own touch. Sometimes the educator needs to be close to certain children when this happens. Pitter-patter-pult, shoe a little colt. Here a nail, there a nail, pitter-patter-pult. Number 2. Games that emphasize taking turns, where everyone is included. and that give others a chance, like, here's a pretty branch so gay, and oats, peas, beans, and barley grow. The educator can also organize the game so that children who have expressed an unconscious bias toward another child or adult can be paired with that person to swing together in the movement dance. Of course, this must not seem to be obvious, but rather a natural outcome of the game. Games like this can be healing for the social dynamic in the class and helpful for creating a land where everyone is welcome. Number 3. We can play our way into helping the children control their own impulses by providing games where they could easily lose control. But, of course, in order to participate in the spirit of the game, the child must decide to self-regulate. Often, when the children are given free rein to gallop or fly outside the circle, those with impulse control issues will demonstrate an inability to rein in their own movement. However, gradually, maybe not at first, their desire to be part of the game can be stronger than their impulsive side, and they begin to imitate the way their friends play the game. We Have Some Little Ponies is a helpful game that can assist with these possibilities. The educator might say something like, I'm pretty sure the animals come right back to the barn when the farmer calls them. Or while playing My Pigeon House, the teacher could say, the birds want to come back to the nest. I'm sure they don't fly up into the castle. Number 4. Sensory games can be tremendously helpful in desensitizing sensory issues, especially if repeated over time and if the child is given the freedom to enter at their own pace. Much is gained by these children when the activity is slowed down and they can sense into it when it is administered to others. Then a child who has touch, vestibular, proprioceptive, and other sense challenges can eventually gain the courage to come forward into the game. It's particularly important for the educator to set the child up for success at this point. Helpful games include The Sandwich, All Around the Sandwich Shop, Rockabye Baby, Caterpillar Roll, and one of my favorites, Little Brown Bulb. These are just a few of the healing games that I have had the pleasure to play with the children in my care. The educator's relationship with the children and their relationships with one another transforms in the alchemy of these joyful interactions. Including games in our early childhood programming is definitely one way we can create healing environments for the children of the world.